You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Welcome home, Carrie.
Well, thank you, pal.
I feel like I've been welcoming you home I don't know how many times. Look at the Wanderer returns.
Stop it.
Yes, and you were
Say
back
the same for you.
I know. We're all over the
you
place
went away,
sometimes.
then I went away, then you went away, then I went away. It's like we're playing leapfrog.
It is. But I'm home now for 2 months. Right now is my current plan. I'm home for 2 months.
Unless something pops up.
Unless something pops up. I was thinking, could I sneak away for my birthday? But I don't think I can. And how about you? So you're home from your last trip.
The pin event, yes.
And you got to do the pin event. We've been thinking about this pin event, talking about this pin event. When did you buy the tickets for the pin event? It's been a while.
Not that long ago. And that's what I'm trying to remember, like what we've talked about. Like, did we talk about me getting to go to the pin event? Yes, right?
Yes. So we talked about you getting the tickets and how crazy it was that people who have gone for years and years and years didn't get any. Did you see them there?
Yes, actually, I did. So I thought that maybe some of them would get off the wait list. But they didn't.
So they had a wait list for people who didn't get tickets that maybe if people people canceled? Yeah, well, I didn't think they were refundable.
Well, I think that so this year with the registration, they had it where you like when we went into the virtual queue, we had to log into our My Disney Experience account. Yeah. And so everybody's logging in on multiple devices, hoping to get a spot. So like if you registered for a friend under your account, like that kind of happened to me. I'm registered under Carol's, and then I registered for a friend under mine. My friend's registration got denied and canceled.
Right.
So a new rule they had this year was that you have to log into your My Disney Experience account to do the registration. And you log into the My Disney Experience account before you get into the virtual queue. So like I logged in a couple of hours in advance. And then when my time came up, I just finished the registration. And the fine print said that you have to log into your own My Disney Experience account. So if I would have registered for myself and for the other person, it would have been fine. But because my Disney Experience account registered for somebody else and I wasn't one of the people under the account, it got canceled. And so while we were trying to figure that out, apparently lots of people did it. Like I wasn't the only one. Because in years past, it didn't matter. And, I guess, I don't know if they did this last year, but definitely this year, the My Disney Experience login was something different. So in the future, it's, like if you're going to gather together and try to figure it all out, it's going to require some back end chit chatting to figure out who's who's registered and who's logged in and all that stuff. So anyway, people would have, like, apparently a lot of people did that, like not knowing, like we're not trying to break the rules, but we didn't even think about it. So I'm sure a lot of people got off of the wait list that way. So the people that did this wrong were off. They didn't get a spot.
Right.
As much as they tried to get their spot, it didn't work. So I think those people would have gotten off the wait list and into the event. Now, all of my pals that have been going for every single year, that didn't happen to them. No. So they were all there because they all had already booked their flights, booked their Halloween party, booked their hotel. It never occurred to them
that they weren't going to get in.
The only thing that's missing is that they didn't have an event ticket. So, and I didn't. So this year was the second year that it was a one-day event. Like Carol and I didn't go last time because we decided to go to Destination D instead. So we said no to the event and we picked Destination D. So this whole one-day thing was new to us. So I don't know what it was like last year, but this year Well, last year and this year, they moved it from Epcot. It used to be at the World Showplace at Epcot. So we had to have a ticket to get into the park to go to the 2-day event. Registration was always the first day at Coronado, and then they had 2 days of events at Epcot. So now it's a 1-day event, and they have registration 1 day, and then the event's 1 day, and it's at Coronado Springs. So the whole event's at Coronado Springs. The one thing that I liked right off the bat and I thought was like truly awesome is that like the pin traders took over Coronado Springs. Like
Kidding.
imagine what it would be like, and you're not imagining it to the fullest degree. So, and I'm sure that people that were staying there that weren't pin traders were like, what the heck is this? And maybe didn't love it. But from probably Thursday afternoon to Sunday night, there were pin traders everywhere. So at Coronado, they have the new tower, and then the new tower is where they have the check-in, the hotel check-in. Over in the older part of the resort, they have an area that was the old check-in area. So it's just this big, ginormous rectangular room that they've put chairs and couches and high tables and lights and all kinds of stuff. That room was full from Thursday to Sunday night with pin traders. Every seat, every pin bags, pin wagons, pin suitcases, pin whatever. Like the place was taken over, and which was pretty darn cool. Like even people were sitting around the fountain that's just outside that area. So when you leave that area, there's that fountain and then the gift shop. Like people were even sitting around the fountain with their pin bags. So before the event started, that room was full. And then when the event started, the whole, like the walkways all the way through the convention center were full because they always have the registration and now the event in the Veracruz Hall, which is the very, very, very last hall. So you have to walk like half a kilometer to get to the Veracruz Hall the whole way. Like all the couches, the walls are lined with pin traders. So like this didn't really happen when we had registration days before there, right? Like when we would have the registration days, we would have our special pin trading that was just for the people for the event, and that was it. Like there was never really people hanging out. So obviously it's a response to like the fact that so many people were shut out.
So they just decided it basically was a pin event outside of the pin event.
Yeah. And it makes you want, like, you really see the demand of this event. Like, and I started to think, like, they probably should have tiers. Like, they should have people that want, like, there's probably lots of people there that don't want to buy the pins that are on the RSP. So why not have, like, a registration for people that want that and want the event, and a registration for people that want to just pin trade, a registration, like, they could figure out a way to do tiers and maybe do it multi-day and maybe have it and maybe just allow, more pin traders in, like have a room where people just pay to go into pin trade and not,
or just make it like a bigger event and have multiple days for people to go. They
always had multiple days, and they always when you like when you get the gifts, like the back of the pin will say how many pins there are. So like I think it said 1250 or something like that. So like they haven't really raised the number of people. So it's not like
it doesn't make sense.
There used to be 1,000 and now then 1,200. Like it's not like the event goes from like 1,200 one year to 2,000. Like they're giving a free gift to us. So whatever limited edition the gift is that's how many people should be at the event, right? Like every single person that goes gets a goodbye pin, and the goodbye pin says, limited edition 1,250 or whatever. Like that's how many people are at the event. So they definitely haven't increased the number of people that get to go, but the demand is there. So like my friends there was so many of them. Like there was really the friends that were in the event, very, very few. The friends that were not in the event were hanging out outside. Like our one friend always makes like little buttons that for the event, and she gives them out to people during the event. She usually picks, like, if it's a theme, she'll make pins with all characters that kind of go along with the theme or whatever. This year she outsourced. She made like the big park buttons. Like she got someone to make them for her. and they call like the event's called After Dark. And so she has like the After Dark logo and she wrote After Dark Rejects. So, like, every single person.
So everyone that didn't get a ticket had an After
so,
Dark reject
like,
button.
I think she had to pay for them. So I think she did like where like if she pin traded with her or something or whatever, she gave out the pins. So
Oh
and
my
they all had
gosh.
like everybody that's in like this group that under her, like because they have a small, like more close knit group of traders that always go pin collectors. She made them all shirts, so they all had shirts that were like After Dark Rejects or and something on the
Oh
back,
my
like
gosh.
the front said like After Dark Reject, and then the back said Poor Unfortunate Soul. And then
That's priceless.
my friend Susan is part of this tight knit group, and she was the only one in the group that got in, so she got a different shirt. So her shirt said like "Friend of the Poor Unfortunate Souls" or something like that. So they were definitely having a little bit of
That's
fun
creative.
inside. But like if you ask all of them, like all they wanted was to be in that room. Like they spent
Yeah.
2 days sitting outside, like on benches and on floors and on these couches, like pin trading
That's
where everyone was
awful.
coming out and talking to them. Everybody sees each other, knows everybody, and chit chatting or whatever. And then, the chosen few get to go inside and play the games and
Yeah.
do all
Like
that stuff.
you're marketing all this stuff, and Disney, you've built a great following for pin traders and you've created this fantastic community. And then you don't include them all when you have an event. It seems weird. Like it seems counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. You're
Yeah.
trying to build a community of pin traders and people who like the merchandise and who want to be there. And then you say, no, you can't all come. It doesn't make sense to me why they've
Yeah.
kept it so. I would love to know the reason for why they keep it so small.
Well, I'm sure like the thing is with pin trading is like from the beginning, like they would have a catalog and limited edition pins. And it was
Yeah.
just something like, you know, you get to go to the event, you get to take part, you get a chance to get these limited edition pins. Like back in the old days, all the pins would sell out. They were lower editions. Like it was
Yeah.
really something special. And that's what collecting's about. Like collecting is about getting limited things and having things that are special, not about having something that 6,000 people get to have too, right? Like
Right.
it's like so like
But you
that's
could still have limited edition pins, but let everyone in the event. I
well,
hate
that's
the
like
thought of them sitting outside. Like it's the
well,
exclusion that you're sitting outside.
well, that's where I think like where is there like seeing the demand for this, is there not a way to tier this differently, right? Like
Yeah.
for instance, for me, so this year, so Carol and I, because
You
Carol's
bought the
good luck.
super. Yeah.
So yeah,
Carol's
Carol
like,
has a low number. So they had a Starlight package, and then I think that was the name of it, the Starlight package, and then they had whatever the regular package was. So the Starlight package was like the VIP. So um, we got early product pickup. We got to go into the event an hour and a half early and get on the boards before anybody else. And we got priority with the RSP. So they give us a catalog and we fill out our RSP and then we're told which random selection we got. So we being in the VIP, we got the first crack at that.
right.
So for me, generally though, like this year, because I had so many friends that didn't get in, like I had my pin list full of my RSP full of pins for friends.
Yeah.
So, and because we were VIPs, like pretty much everything we put on the list we got. Like we could have put the whole catalog on and we might have gotten most of the catalog. Usually, you'll put things on the list and you might get one or two things. Like you don't get
Yeah.
everything that you want regularly. But anyway, but usually like the pins that are on the catalog, because I collect Muppets and cats, like, and mostly just Muppets now, there's never any pins like I truly want for my collection.
Yeah.
So if there was registration options, I could say I don't want to be part of the RSP. Like I've seen the catalog, there's no Muppets there. So I don't need to register for the event that includes RSP. Right?
Right.
Like my friends
Yeah.
that like some of my friends that were sitting out there are ginormous villain collectors.
Yeah.
And this whole event, 90% of the pins are villain pins and they don't have access to them.
And they didn't
So
have access.
if there was a way that they could, maybe they expand the number of people that go to the event, but then maybe they tier even more. Like, I like to play the games and pin trade, but I don't need the RSP. And there's some people that the big pin traders that are in there with their buckets and bags and wagons of pins, like they don't even want to wait in lines. They just want to be at the tables trading their pins. So like maybe there's a way to incorporate way more people, but then tier the access that people have. I don't know. Like
we need somebody from the executive team at Disney who coordinates these pin events to listen to this podcast to tell them, just let Carrie and I sort this out for you.
And maybe it doesn't make any sense, but like you see how they've adapted a few things with it not being at Epcot and in that venue.
And that's nice. Like the you don't need the park ticket. Like that's a plus.
So what they did this year is, like at the Epcot, they had a stage, they had entertainers, they would have games all day long. They had characters in there. They had all kinds of stuff going when it was at the World Show Place, because it's like a venue that's built for that bigger whatever. Like they're at the Coronado, like sure they put a few things up, but like it's got that flowery carpet, it's hard to pull off. Like they have a blank canvas in the old venue, right? But so they did different things. They put buttons on the boards, and if you got a button and you brought it to the check-in desk, like they gave you a bag, like a gift bag. So like instead of doing the games where when you won a game or you were runner-up or you participated in a game, you'd walk away with a big bag of pins, they put buttons on the board, and if you got a button, then you got the bag. So like they found ways to do what they usually do differently, right? Because at first I was like, well, why? Like there's no entertainment, there's no stage to sit at, they're not playing any games, like what the heck's going on here? But then we realized we didn't see any of the buttons because you had to be when the boards changed to be able to get one. But then we were like, oh, that's what they're doing. So instead of that, they've found a way to like distribute stuff like that. So they did do some things at the event to kind of like, at first my first instinct was like, well, they've charged us more or charged us the same, and they've taken away like a whole level of like the whole entertainment value. But yeah, they did sprinkle in some things here and there. But what I think, like my personal opinion, like whether they listen to our podcast and figure out how to do this differently or not, is that it's only 1,200 people that they're letting in or whatever. Like this whole like random put you in a queue somewhere needs to stop. Like it's not like they're trying to figure out how to register 50,000 people for the expo 3 days for 3 days, or whatever, right? Like it's not that level. It's 1,250 or however many people. They need to turn that friggin' random mumbo jumbo off, and they just need to kick it the old way. Every pin trader for themselves. It opens up at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time or whatever time, and game on. First 1,200 people get a spot. Because all of the years ago, before, all of my pin trading friends all got in that way. Yeah. Like if it means something to you, you're on the system, you're registering, you're getting in, right? Like that was so nerve-wracking. The fact that like there's people that didn't even like the people that run like the Central New Jersey Pin Traders group. I probably have what they're called the wrong exactly, like I don't have a correct, but like they go every single year. Like they weren't, I don't even think they were there. They didn't register. They probably just didn't plan their trip. Like there's people like that go every single year and they didn't get a spot. So if they just got to go back to the way that it was before. Like we don't need to randomly put me in a spot and get spot number 7,652 and realize I'm not getting a spot. They just need to open her up, let us in there. We never really broke the internet back then. It's just that when we started to get where it would sell out in like 16 minutes. Sells in 16 minutes, it sells in 16 minutes. That's like they need to, like bare basic whatever, they just need to go back to that. That's all they need to do.
But absolutely. And they need to figure out a way to make it to go back to that so that the people can get in. But now you did get in.
I know.
What happened inside? So I feel bad for them all. Tell it, what happened inside?
So, what happened on the inside?
Like once
Right.
you got in the door, so they're all sitting outside, wishing
Yeah,
they
they're
could
all
get
sitting
inside.
outside sad, handing out buttons.
What happened when you got inside?
Okay.
What did they miss?
So yeah, I think they missed
What
some
did they
fun.
miss a lot, or did
Well,
they make? Because
it's
maybe
not.
sitting outside was just as rewarding and
No,
trading
it
and all
wasn't.
that.
I'm
Okay,
sure if you asked them the
so
end of the day, they just wanted to be inside. Like this is
what
more
did
than
what
like
was inside?
pins. This is more about like this is a community of people that have that like it's a
Right, but
community. It is
who
more
are
than
the
just the
people
pin
that were
event.
inside?
Okay, so we had special access at 9:30 in the morning with our Starlight package. So
Right.
we had 1 hour and 1.5 hours to go to the pin board. So when we walked in,
Oh,
they
that's a lot
had
of
pretty
extra
much
time.
so they had a room with pin games and pin boards, and then they had a big area of tables for pin trading. So at 9 o'clock when we got in, we went straight to the back to the boards, and I think before the 10:30 came around, we were in our fourth line. So at the old pin events, they would give us little tickets, and we would trade them in, and they'd give us 4 tickets a day. So we got in 4 lines before everybody else came in.
Right. Right.
So
And
so it
that
was
means
pretty
that line, like you got to go to the board and then trade on that
trade.
board.
Yeah.
And the board has like super special stuff on it at the beginning when they first open the board,
When
and then
yeah. So
it gets muddled with everybody's trades, and then they have to refresh the board.
right. So every half hour they refresh the boards. This year the boards were smaller. They were about half the size of the regular boards, but they had 3 boards at each game instead of 2 boards at each game. So they had smaller boards, which kind of makes it easier to find your pins because it's
Right.
half the board. So so yeah, they refresh them every 30 minutes. You wait in your line. So like before that, we were waiting like maybe 20 minutes in line because there's still quite a few people in the
Yeah.
room and there's all kinds of games, but we're about 20 minutes probably to wait in line. And you go up and you can trade 2 pins. So any game you play, you can trade 2 pins. So when the boards are refreshed, there's lots of artist proof pins and pre-production proof pins and other bigger pins or whatever that are on there, and those buttons. So like I found the boards, like we didn't at all the whole day get any refreshes. So when you get a refresh, it means like you're either the next one in line or maybe you're 3 or 4 people in line for the refresh. That didn't happen to us all day. Usually at the pin event, we'd have that happen a couple of times easy throughout our
Right.
2 days. That didn't happen to us once. But saying that, like almost every single pin I pulled off the board was a artist proof or a pre-production proof. So like when those boards came up, they were full of stuff.
And
So by the
did you
time we
get
got there,
something that was super special? Like, was there one that you picked up? You were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got this.
not really. Like I find for me, like my main thing when I'm going to the boards is like I know which you can kind of tell which ones are going to be APs and PPs by the way that they look. But like I always look for my collection first. So like I am looking for, and often I don't really find stuff from my collection, but I usually find pins that are a couple years old that I wish I would have gotten back then. Like so I have a lot of Disneyland pins, like Disneyland 60th anniversary pins that I got a couple years later at the pin event. So I'm
Right.
usually looking for stuff like that. Like I pulled off like an older Disneyland one. I pulled off a few, like a Bambi one for my sister. Like I pulled off. I always look for my collection first. Like even if I see some, unless it was something that was obviously like very valuable, that was like like flashing lights, I would
Yeah.
grab it. But generally, my priority is to look for something that fits my collection, my sister's collection, something like that.
Yeah.
So I did pull a few. I did pull a few things for sure, but nothing too crazy. Like the like it's funny too when like by the time we were at the third and fourth board that morning, like you're seeing the same pins over and over again. Like I went to 4 different boards that morning, and
Yeah.
you see like what they're putting on there. Like throughout the day, like you see they're doing series of things, right? So some people spend the day at the board trying to like fill a series. Like they had these like metal pins that were like busts of the villains, and
Oh,
people were like, they had them on the board and people were trying to collect them. So once you've seen a few boards, you can see that they put series of things on there. So some people do spend the time trying to collect. Like they had for Walt Disney World 50th, they had these shields that were all the attractions, and they were like a shield with the attraction, and it might have said the attraction name or something. Like those were like artist proof and pre-production proofs on the boards. Like they had the whole series on there a few times. So some people were collecting those 50th anniversary, and that's kind of what I'm
okay.
saying. Like how like that was a couple of years ago, and we saw 50th anniversary stuff, to how a couple of years back I was seeing the 60th from Disneyland on there. Like you can
Yeah,
always kind of assume that in a couple of years you're going to find stuff, and it'll be the pre-production
it'll
proof or
come
the
back.
AP,
Right.
it'll be on there, right? Like they save them, I guess, to put on the boards. So once you've been to the boards a few times, you're up there, you see again like all the stuff you've been seeing for the last three boards,
Right.
and if you were deciding to kind of stick with a theme or whatever, that you'd be able to pick and choose. So I think the boards were pretty good. Like once 10:30 came about, the place was like, when the other 1,000 people came in the room, like those lines were long. Like people like playing the board, so they like, there's 3 or 4 lines where there's 3 boards, and you wait in line and you take your turn at the one board. Um, then there's games where you spin a wheel, and whatever it lands on, that's the board you go to, or the game you go to. They had like a little Plinko thing. You put a ball in the Plinko thingamajiggy, and wherever it landed, like 1, 2, 3, 4, you had to go to that game. So if I got number 3, I had to go to the game that was labeled number 3. Those aren't as popular. People don't like them. So
Right.
the people like the lines because you have that big board of pins and you can choose. But in the afternoon, the lines were so long at those boards. Like they would have been an hour to an hour and a half. Like an hour,
Oh
I
my
don't even think they
gosh.
were an hour. Like I think the lines in the afternoon for the boards would have been at least an hour and a half. Like we were sticking around with the short, like the other
The
games,
little
like
ones. Right.
because we
Yeah.
felt that we had the blessing of the morning to be able to do those 4. Then we went in the short ones. Like those games have very small boards, and it's kind of random, right? Like if you get number 3, and then the next person gets the number 3, and the next person gets number 3, like you're just going to the board that everybody's already been to, right? Like they're more
Right.
random how you get to pick your pins. But like those boards were probably like between 30 and 40 minutes in the afternoon. So we were just doing those, or not board, those games. We were doing those games all afternoon. Now, seeing how big the lines were, we kind of discussed like if we didn't have the VIP and we would have walked in that room at whatever time, 10:30, would we have felt the same about the event?
Yeah.
Probably not. Like probably
No.
not, right? Like we definitely had an advantage for that hour and a half, because you think they only have from 10:30 till 6 o'clock to do those lines. So I guess if all they did was stand in line and they were an hour and a half-ish, then they would have got probably 4 lines done,
That's
how we would have done 4.
wow. And then that's it. So 6 o'clock, then the event's over. You've done your lines, you spun the wheels, and
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah. And yeah. So with us, because they
And
have a
you
big
get a
room for
goodbye
pin trading.
package. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. So usually over the 2 days, we'd get little vouchers to pick up our goodbye package or whatever package.
Right.
They just gave us all that at registration. So they gave us all that at registration. They gave us, because we were VIP, they gave us 2 tries at the gachapon machine. So they did this last year and they did this year. They had a row of gachapon machines, which are like vending machines where you get the big balls out of them. Like they have them in Japan. They're really, really popular. So the gachapon machines were full of a villain series that you could only get from the gachapon machines.
Okay.
So because we had 2, we got 2 tries, and then the regular registrations had 1. And then when everybody had their turn, then they sold extra turns at the gachapon machine. So that was kind of fun, because the only way you got those pins was through the gachapon machines or buying more things for the gachapon
Right.
machines. And that's sort of what, like the pin event usually, or in the past, would have special pins on the board that were only for the event. And that's sort of doing the same thing and kind of having a little bit more fun with the gachapon machine.
A
So
little more
like there was
random
times,
too.
yeah. So And so then people that gives people something to collect, right? So,
But that machine, you don't get to pick which pin you get. It's random,
no,
meaning you have no idea. It's like those mystery boxes. You push
yeah,
a button, the thing
yeah.
spits out, and you get what you get.
So usually in the past, like there was in the past Mickey's Circus, there was like 5 or 6 elephants that all connected. Like
Right.
that was the ones that were on the board. One year there was like a mirror, like there was glass shards and characters, and when you got all of them, they made a mirror. So when we went to the event and you were playing the games, those were sprinkled all over the board. So then the people would spend the weekend trying to get them and then
Get
trade
them
with each
all.
other to bring home the gift. Right? Like that's
Right.
really kind of like a
Right.
bonus
That makes
gift if you
sense.
wanted to try to get them all, right?
Right.
So the gachapon machine, they had those buttons on the board where you could win those bags of prizes, but beyond that, like this was the same thing. So you got your gachapon, they gave you the opportunity to buy more. They're very limited. They were limited like 400 or 300 or whatever they were, and then you could spend the weekend trading, or the day, sorry, not weekend, trading to try to get them all or get the ones that you wanted. So but yeah, after we played, we took a break. I had lunch, went outside, hung out with our friends, traded a little bit. We like this year I decided to the mystery boxes were villains, like big villains and like these little mini villains or whatever they were. And like everything about this event was glow in the dark. So all of the pins, they gave us a flashlight that was a glow light, a blue
Oh,
light, whatever
fun.
it's called. So all the pins glowed in the dark. So I bought like this flag that had a castle on it, and then you're supposed to put all the pins from this set on it. And so I got them all. I'm missing one of the big ones. I'm missing Chernabog, and I'm missing like maybe 3 of the little ones. But I figured I did a pretty good job
That's a good job.
trading. So once I got the pins, I was trying to trade. I probably should have traded earlier in the day because by the time the day was ending, like everybody had already done their trading, and I needed Chernabog. He's one of the more popular ones. Like
Of
nobody's
course.
trading me for Chernabog unless they got a whole bunch of them, or I have something they really want to finish their set. So I should have probably traded earlier in the day or the night before more aggressively, but I didn't. So I'm going to put them all on there. I'm going to hang them up in my room, and then I can put some light
Nice.
on them. So I did do a little bit more trading than I usually
Well, that's
would do.
good.
And then you also trade, like, you buy the mystery boxes are usually not my what I collect, but like you buy them anyways and you just trade to trade. Like, because you trade
Yeah.
while you're waiting in that line for an hour and a half or 30
You're
minutes, like you're
trading.
trading with people, you're talking with people. So like you can, you just trade as you go. And I'm more of a like I'll just trade to trade to help people out. They trade to trade back with me. Like so yeah, then we traded in the lines and we traded outside in the hallways and we traded with the pin traders in the room. So yeah, that was pretty much, I think, the day they had we were wondering if they were going to do this, and they did. Like on the other far side of the room, they had all the pins that are coming out. Like they set up
Yeah.
displays and they show all the pins for the next year or so. So they did that, and that was kind of neat to do. But
Now,
yeah,
where did
so
you guys stay?
at Coronado.
You
Yeah.
actually stayed at Coronado.
Yeah, we were at
Tower or
Coronado. No, in the preferred room, so we were close to
oh,
the.
so you were so close.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a pretty
That
easy
makes
walk.
sense.
I think I ate everything on the menu at the Coronado Cafe thing, the quick service,
Oh,
because
that
we
quick
ate so
serve.
many meals
I
there.
know.
I think
Now,
we ate,
did you have the nacho? Did they have, let me ask
yeah,
you
I
this,
had the
the
nachos.
nachos, were they pre-prepared?
No, they
Okay,
made them.
good. Nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
think between myself and Carol, we ate everything on the menu. Like, because we ate
They
every
have
single,
good
because we didn't
cupcakes.
go
Yeah, of
anywhere. We ate
course.
every
Why
single
would you?
menu. Ate every
Why
single
would
meal
you?
there. It is hot as heck. So yeah, we were
Yeah.
definitely not going anywhere. We contemplated, and like that's the first time Carol and I have been there for a pin event. Like I've been to, like, that might be my 10th one I've been to with her, and we didn't go to Disney Springs. We never
Oh,
like miss
wow.
Disney Springs. Like we always go to the pin store. We go to Earl's.
Yeah,
We did
it
not
was too
leave.
hot.
We just stayed at Coronado. Yep,
Sometimes that's what
did
you
the
got to
event,
do. So let me
and it
ask
was
you
really
this.
hot. Yeah,
If they said in 2 weeks they have another pin event, same price,
always.
would you go again?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's worth it.
it's always like it's worth it just for like seeing your friends and seeing that community. Like I don't even collect, like
So
if
let
I
me ask
counted
you.
all in on the 10 years I've been to the pin event, if I collected how many pins I was able to purchase as part of the event that fit in my collection, I bet you there's not even 10 pins. Like
Right.
I don't go to buy pins. I go for something else. Like I go because I like the community. I like my trip with Carol. I like seeing all my
Right.
friends. Like that's the reason why I go. Like
So if it was
so
somebody else, fairly new pin trader, doesn't have ties to the community, would you think that event was worth the money?
I think a new pin trader probably loved it. Yes. Yeah. I think especially like I'm sure they have pins on the RSP that they
Right.
like. Like I think if they're the one thing with this event too, with all the people in the hallway, is like there was lots of people pin trading at all different levels, right? So, some people are worried that, that the pin traders aren't going to want to trade with them if they're just starting out or they don't have a lot of
Right.
good traders or whatever. But so many people there, like everybody can pin trade for sure. So I think a new pin trader, like I'm sure they probably didn't love waiting in lines for an hour and a half. It's your first event. You're probably still excited. Like you
You're
don't
probably
even,
still like, oh my
maybe
gosh,
you've
I'm
never
here.
even had the chance to get a PP or an AP pin. Like I'm pretty sure that the new pin traders probably really enjoyed it for sure. Like they
Aw.
want pins, they want to trade. Like,
Yeah.
and then if they manage to trade stuff when they're there, it's like icing
So
on the cake.
totally
Like
worth it.
I'm sure that the new pin traders loved it too. We just need to get these you know
The organization done a little
the
better.
organ yeah, and we need these original pin traders included. The
Yes.
OGs, they need to be able to go
They
to the
need to
event and
just
not
open
sit
it
on the
up and make
floor.
it bigger. They really do.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make any sense. They've got the space. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
I don't know why. Like they could actually replicate and do two separate days, right? Like they'd have to figure out a way to make sure that you could only register for one. Like it's not fair that you shouldn't be able to go to two, but they can run two separate events. Like
Yeah.
you are this day, you are this day, run the events
Well,
exactly the
at
same.
Coronado, don't they have multiple rooms that they could be having them in? Like they could have it,
For sure.
yeah, like they could have multiples.
But there was
It's
also another large convention going on the same time, right? Like they would have
yeah.
to,
Yeah, they'd have to plan around that. But yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. There's a way to do it. There's
But
smart people. They could figure it out.
it was really neat to see them take like to see the pin traders take over the convention center, like
That's
or
awesome.
over the Coronado Springs. Like before it even started, I was like, this is really cool. Like it is so
Nice.
cool as a pin trader, like as a fan, a collector, just
Yeah,
seeing just seeing all of that, like just take over the whole resort. It was real.
that's so
And then
fun.
someone said to me, like, I'm sure the people that are staying here are probably like, oh, this is horrible. But from my perspective, from my pin
It was
trading
good.
goggle with my pin trading goggles on, I'm like, how cool is this that we have like infiltrated and taken over this resort? And
That's awesome.
hopefully, like back in the old days, the like a group like that Central New Jersey pin traders group, they would always have we would take over like Port Orleans, Riverside, or French Quarter, the food court, like
Right.
whatever, the Thursday night before, and then that had to stop. Like that was unofficial or whatever. But like this taking it almost seems like Disney must say it must be okay for this to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like they like
Well, they must
so it's
know that
almost
it's going
like
to
being
happen.
allowed to take over the whole resort for a day or
Yeah.
two.
Now,
It
did
was
you
really
eat at
cool.
Three Bridges while you were there?
No, but we met Curtis for dinner the one night, and we went to the
Oh,
what's it
yeah,
called up
Toledo, didn't
Toledo.
you?
Yeah.
How
Hmm.
was it?
It was good. It was
It's
really
on my
good. It's
to-do list. You and I talked about doing that when we were there, and then we
yeah.
didn't.
I think we canceled it. No, it
We
was good.
canceled
It's
it.
nice up there too. It's really nice views, and we were up there. You could see the sunset, and it was really nice. The food
Nice.
was good.
The food was good.
Yeah, company was great. It was a good experience for sure. So yeah, we ate
Nice.
at Coronado Food Court and Toledo's.
And Toledo, and that was it.
That's pretty much it. Yep,
That's
that's my
awesome, though.
that's my story.
That sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
So it was a good event. We'll see.
Excellent.
Like last year, they never told us the details, the date until really late. Like we only had found
Right.
out a few months ago. So it'll be interesting to see how long they told us already that the event next year is the 25 years of pin trading, which they just did that like 5 years ago for the 20 years of pin trading.
Right.
But they also said that there's going to be a Disneyland pin event. So I'm pretty excited
Nice.
about that. The lady said it's going to be in the spring of 2025. And
Oh,
the theme
that's
is like all like
fantastic.
1950s Disneyland. It's going to be
Oh,
awesome.
that's
So I'm going to
awesome.
try to
That's
go to
right
that
up
one.
your alley.
Yeah, I'm sure like that event is going to sell out in about 16 seconds. Forget about
Yeah.
16 minutes. It's going to sell out immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I'm sure they did have pin events at Disneyland probably like a long time ago. But yeah, I don't think that they've done anything since.
Wow.
So if maybe they haven't done anything like this is
That'll
going to
be
be
amazing.
there's going to be a dude walking across the stage for sure in a random generated. I'm going to
Yeah.
give everybody I know the login for me. So
Aw, that's
anyways,
awesome.
yeah.
Good. And yeah, so you stayed for a little bit after that and you ran into our friend Dustin.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to have him on to talk about his trip because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he did another big dinner while he was there.
Yeah, he did.
And he's got a few stories to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna record an episode with him so that he can fill us in on his trip report too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
You asked me my pixie dust stuff.
Sure. We're at that time of the podcast, Carrie. What was your pixie dust?
Well,
What made you happy this week?
I think Dustin's going to get mad because my pixie dust is that I saw one of our pixie dust fans. But then he's going to be like, "How come you didn't use me for my pixie dust?" Oh dear, I'm in trouble.
How about you ran into two friends while you were there? How's that?
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. So I saw Dustin and Jill, and we hung out a little bit at the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at the end of the night. We watched the parade and we went on a ride, and I just walked around with them for a bit. And then on my last day, I saw our Pixie Dust out, actually. She was there with her family. And
Nice.
And we hung out at Epcot for a little bit, went on a ride, had a coffee, and chit-chatted. So I hadn't seen her. Well, I don't know that I ever met Dustin in person. I think I kind of said that to him too. Like, I don't know if I met him
I
in
don't
person
think you guys
before.
have met in person.
But Ashley, we hadn't seen her since we were like during our COVID travels when we were first coming out of COVID and we saw her at the airport. Remember? Me and you, we were coming back and she was coming in, or vice versa. I think we were leaving and she was coming in, and we were trying to catch up to meet her. So like we
saw her for like 30 seconds.
2 seconds and took a selfie or whatever. So I knew we knew that we were gonna match up our date. So we had it kind of planned in advance. That we would meet. We just didn't know what we were going to do till that morning. So I went to Epcot, waited for her, and we hung out. And it was nice to see her, catch up, and have like a nice in-person chit chat.
Did you remember how tall she is?
Well,
because I gotta say, the last time when I saw her at Disney Springs and we stood next to each other, I did not I'd forgotten. She's like
just normal tall. It's just we're short.
That's what it. Yes, she's like normal size.
It's not like she's a giant.
We're just short. But I felt very short next to her. And when she sent me that picture of you two together, I'm like, is Carrie bent over or something? She looks so small.
I think I was kind of crouched a little bit.
A little bit. We'll say that's what it was.
Yeah. So that's my pixie dust.
That's good pixie dust.
I was like, Fran, meeting up with the pixie dusters at the park.
Nice. I love it.
I had to schedule them.
I love it.
How about you? What's your pixie dust for this week?
My pixie dust for this week is that my unmagical job, I've been working on a project for the last 3 years, and part 2 of the 3 parts, we're finally planning the sort of go live.
Oh my goodness.
Over the next 2 weekends. So while they messed me up that my work that was supposed to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is now Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it's fine because it means we're getting closer to the end. So I'm just
like years in the making here. Years.
Oh, Yes, I feel, it's one of those things that I just want it done. I just want it over with.
Wow.
I just want to go live and be done. So I'm excited that we're now at the final stages. It does mean that for 3 days, we're basically sitting on call for 24 hours a day for 3 days. But, but that's fine because then one part will be done and then the next part the following weekend. And then that's part 2 of 3 parts done. So, yeah, I'm very excited about that.
I guess that's
Very
a long
excited.
time. Like, how do I couldn't even imagine a project that lasts that long.
Oh my, well, yeah. And it's still, honestly, my part it will be done, hopefully, early next year. But the project itself will still be going on for a little bit after that. So,
holy smokes.
oh yeah,
that is something to celebrate. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. They did have a celebration last week at dinner, but I don't go to those things because
I would just bring in a big cake.
I should. But
I
that's
bring in
my
a big
pixie
cake.
dust. Yes, well, that was awesome. So we finally got to hear all the details of the pin event. And
Sure
why
we
are
did.
you laughing?
Oh, dear.
And next time we're going to be talking to Dustin about his trip report and some of
It'll
your
be more.
adventures, when you after the pin event. Yeah, so that'll be good on the next episode. Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Cool. All right. If you haven't left us a rating and review, please do so on whatever podcast player you're listening to us on, and tell your friends about us as well. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.